Hello and welcome, I'm Nikita Kapoor and you're watching the Daily Jagran. In this special segment, I bring you all the top stories from diplomacy to inside scoop on RCB victory parade. Let's begin. A story of diplomatic failure, a story where Pakistan tried to silence India's voice and failed in an incident that's now being seen as a clear embarrassment for Islamabad. The Pakistani government attempted to block India's Operation Sindoor outreach in Malaysia, but what followed was not the compliance Pakistan expected. It was a quiet but firm refusal by Malaysian authorities, leaving Pakistan red-faced. Let's break down what happened and why this moment matters beyond just a diplomatic snub. The final destination on a multi-nation tour led by Sanjay Jha and his 9-member Indian delegation was Malaysia. Before reaching Malaysia, this team had already held successful outreach events in Japan, South Korea, Singapore, and Indonesia, where they spoke about India's evolving counter-terrorist strategy, specifically the precision strikes under Operation Sindoor aimed at dismantling terror launch pads across the border in Pakistan. But just as the delegation prepared for its series of 10 public programs in Malaysia, something unexpected happened. The Pakistani embassy stepped in, not with facts or policy arguments, but with a plea based on religion. As per a report by India Today, Pakistan's message to Malaysian authorities was blunt. Pakistan told Malaysia that we are an Islamic country, you're an Islamic country, don't listen to the Indian delegation. It wasn't just a request. It was an attempt to cancel every single one of the 10 scheduled events, a clear example of how Pakistan, once again, tried to use religious solidarity as a political weapon, especially on international platforms. Despite Pakistan's pressure, the Malaysian government responded by greenlighting all the 10 events, effectively ignoring Pakistan's plea. This was not just a diplomatic decision, it was a measured one. It was Malaysia choosing sovereignty and neutrality over appeasement, and it sends a strong signal. Bilateral issues cannot be masked by appeals to religion, especially in an era where nations are judged by their independent foreign policies and not religious affiliations. Malaysia, by allowing these outreach events to go ahead, effectively defended the principle of open dialogue. More importantly, it chose to act as a mature, sovereign democracy rather than being drawn into a religious or ideological tug of war. Pakistan's move in Malaysia was not just ignored, it was diplomatically sidelined. And for India, the outcome was not just about a successful event, it was about retaining credibility on the global stage. And Pakistan, for now, stands isolated in its own game. Pakistan tried to play its tried and tested old card, victimhood, communalism and misinformation, but it backfired. Spectacularly, that too. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, the former foreign minister of Pakistan and current chairman of the Pakistan People's Party, stood before the global press and launched a baseless attack on India yet again. He accused the Indian government of demonizing its Muslim citizens. But what happened next? A journalist, calm, informed and fearless, ripped his narrative apart with one simple factual question. And what followed was nothing short of a diplomatic takedown. In a UN press briefing, Bilawal Bhutto was doing what Pakistani leaders have perfected over decades, using international platforms to peddle lies about India, distract from their own failures, and spin the Kashmir narrative for sympathy. This time, his claim was particularly outrageous. He alleged that the recent terror attack in Pahalgam, which killed 26 innocent civilians, was being politicized to vilify Muslims in India. The strategy was clear: mix terrorism with communalism, divert global attention, and try to corner India diplomatically. But this time, Pakistan's game was called out, loudly, publicly on record. A journalist confronted Bilawal with a question that exposed the hollowness of his claims. The journalist asked, and I quote, "You said the recent terrorist attack in Kashmir is being used as a political tool to demonize Muslims in India, but sir, I have watched briefings from both sides, and on the Indian side, Muslim officers have led those briefings, including the ones on Operation Sindoor." Boom. Game over. This was the truth. Truth backed by facts and faces like Colonel Sophia Qureshi, the Indian Army officer who became the face of Operation Sindoor. So here was Pakistan claiming that India demonizes Muslims while Muslim officers lead India's most critical counter-terror operation and represent the nation with pride and honor. The journalist question shook the Pakistani delegation. Caught off guard, Bilawal Bhutto had no legit comeback at all, no defense, no substance. He just kept repeating his words. It was more than a moment of personal embarrassment. It was a symbolic defeat for Pakistan's tired, repetitive anti-India script. Bilawal Bhutto came to the UN to lecture, but he walked away lectured by a journalist armed with facts and a lot of courage. The flood situation in Assam is still very critical as continuous rain has led to a rise in water levels in many parts of the state and waterlogging in many new areas as well. 7 rivers, including the Brahmaputra, were flowing above the danger level. A report by the Assam State Disaster Management Authority said that 6 more people have lost their lives and around 6.5 lakh people were affected by the deluge across 21 districts. Huge number. Relief camps have been set up sheltering thousands of displaced people. The Brahmaputra River was also flowing above the danger level at several locations, not one. Road, railway and ferry services have been disrupted at various places across the state. Joint rescue operations are underway in severely affected areas. India's northeast is battling monsoon mayhem as torrential rainfall continues, leading to flood-like situation, waterlogging, landslides and swollen rivers. The Kerala Health Department has issued guidelines to hospitals and health workers amid a spike in COVID-19 infections in the state. The department has directed the government and private hospitals to conduct mock drills. Yes, mock drills. A Google form will be provided by the Kerala Health Department for conducting an online mock drill. The Health Department instructed the hospitals to follow the revised ABC guidelines issued in June 2023 while treating patients with COVID-19 and influenza symptoms. The guidelines said that it is necessary to pay attention to whether there are any red flag signs in patients with COVID-19 and influenza symptoms. Let's know what are these red flag signs. The red flag signs to be mentioned are breathlessness, chest pain, drowsiness, fall in blood pressure, hemoptysis. Symptoms to watch for in children include high persistent fever, inability to feed well, and respiratory distress. All hospitalized patients with symptoms should be tested for COVID-19. If the rapid antigen test is negative, the RT-PCR test should be done. It is a compulsion. Meanwhile, fresh guidelines have been issued for the hospital facilities that urgently need to be adequately equipped. However, Center says that this COVID wave is mild and health departments are fully equipped to deal with the situation. The Royal Challengers Bengaluru's long-awaited victory parade has been cancelled, unfortunately. After an 18-year wait, RCB finally lifted the IPL trophy and Bengaluru was ready to erupt. Fans were gearing up for an unforgettable open-top bus parade across the city. But now, that plan stands scrapped. So what really happened? Why no roadshow for RCB? And what's the alternative now? Let's go step by step. Earlier this afternoon, Bengaluru police announced that no victory parade will be held on city roads. The reason? Logistical hurdles and security concerns. Sources tell us that managing crowd control along the proposed road, that is from Vidhan Soda to Chinnaswamy Stadium, became a literal nightmare for city authorities. Tens of thousands of fans were expected to gather, bringing the city's already congested roads to a potential standstill. Police cited inadequate deployment bandwidth, traffic disruptions, and inability to ensure emergency lane access as the key reasons behind the decision. In short, the authorities could not guarantee safety, not for the players, not for the fans, and certainly not for the rest of the city. Authorities insist this was the only responsible choice. But this small hiccup is nothing compared to happiness for the big win. RCB's first ever IPL title in 18 years has sparked joy not just in Bengaluru but among fans across the globe. From heartbreaks to trolls, from near misses to bottom table seasons, this victory was redemption, celebration and closure all rolled into one. The emotional connection fans have with this team is unlike any other. That is why the cancellation of the parade feels personal to many. But even as disappointment brews, let's also remember the players are here, the trophy is here, and the celebration is still very much on. This is all what we have time for in this special segment. For more news and updates, subscribe to the Daily Jagran. You can also log on to thedailyjagran.com. Thanks for tuning in. This is Nikita Kapoor signing off.